One spine surgeon here in San Antonio has combined both STEM education and the love of comic books to form a band of superheroes known as the OsteoCorps. We speak to the founder of this comic book series, who introduces us to the members of the OsteoCorps and their enemy, the malunion.
So I'm an adult spine surgeon. I trained at the Mayo Clinic, and for a very long time I had an adult spine practice. We added to our spine practice a pediatric division, and when I added that practice, I wanted to make sure that we had an environment for children that eliminated the fear of seeing a doctor. And what I did back then was I created a coloring book, essentially, with characters that were in color on one side of the page and then a blank image of the same characters on the other side, really as a waiting room brochure. And the idea there was to introduce children to the terms that they may hear from their doctor, to teach them a little bit about STEM topics, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but also to introduce the idea of medicine in a way that was exciting and fun and hopefully inspirational. With this STEM-based comic now, we've gone from school to school and from charity event to charity event, supporting these different organizations, usually child-oriented. A lot of times it's children with cancer, sometimes orphanages and things like that that are really geared towards getting kids involved. And then we've been going to schools, elementary schools and middle schools, talking to the kids about science. We bring a whole cast of superheroes and a couple of villains. We have 26 characters in all so far in the comic, but we have about 7 costumes that we bring around, including my costume as E-Incision. And I just talk to the kids about what the names of the characters mean and how they translate to real world science and medicine to teach them. And so far, we've been really warmly received by multiple different organizations and schools. So, well, you know, I think the characters really bring it to life. You know, for kids, most kids need something visual that's stimulating visually, you know, in order to capture and to remember, to recall this information. Education, not to be critical of the education system, but education in America has really gotten away from the kinesthetic learning. And if you look at countries around the world, like Finland, for example, who are ranked #1 in education, we are, for example, 37 or 35 in math and 27 in science. So we have a long way to go. America should be 1, 2, or 3, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. But I think that the first step in getting there is creating educational platforms that are interesting and exciting to kids. We have so much technology nowadays. There's no reason not to incorporate visual learning. So the core group of the OsteoCorps is led by 3 different characters. Captain Osteon, who is the 11-year-old who becomes a giant adult version of himself, and then his sister is called Fusion in the comic, and then their younger brother called Cobalt Chrome. You'll see that the powers and the names have a lot to do with medical terminology, whether it's a cell type or a specific power that we have in our body. It's been translated into the superhero world. So Captain Osteon, as you can see, one of the powers that he has is that his muscle cells have been optimized. But Captain Osteon is in some ways the leader of the OsteoCorps because he actually has multiple cell types that have been optimized. His neurons have been optimized as well, so he's very fast. His strength, osteoblasts have been, his myoblasts have also been optimized. His osteoblasts and his osteocytes have all been optimized. So he has extremely dense, almost unbreakable bone. He has muscle strength that's almost unmatchable, and then he has extreme speed. So, and he has this power that it's called osteocyte, S-I-T-E. Again, it's a pun for what we use in medicine. That term is called osteocyte with a C-Y-T-E, and that's actually a bone cell. But he actually uses that laser vision essentially to heal things, but also it can destroy things that are damaging. The next character is his big sister, who is not as big as him physically, but his big sister, and her name is Fusion. And you may know that fusion is the healing together of 2 different pieces of bone in the body. And so her power is the osteoblast, and it's literally a blast. She has a laser blast that she can shoot from her hands that heals damaged tissue and bone, and she can actually create a force field with it as well, and she can fly. They can both fly. So this is Cobalt Chrome, and he's really that tall. So Cobalt Chrome in the comic is 10 feet tall, 5,000 pounds. He's made out of solid cobalt chrome metal. And cobalt chrome in medicine is the type of metal that we use to do joint replacement surgery, hip replacement, knee replacement surgery. And so his power is he has an indestructible body made of metal that cannot be broken. He also has the ability to, with his lens, see microscopically. He can shoot a laser from his lens, and he can shoot his spikes off to impale his enemies. But Cobalt Chrome is only 5 years old in the comic, and he becomes the strongest and biggest character in the series. And we're going to start now with the Malunion. The Malunion is led by the notorious Fracture. You can see that his body is made of solid bone, but he has cracks in his bone, and his power is the power of the osteoclast. An osteoclast is a bone destroying cell in our body. So anytime that we have bone that's being eaten away, it's being done by osteoclasts. Osteoclasts actually are the first thing that break down a bone before it heals. But if that process is never turned around, if it's not followed by osteoblasts, the bone becomes destroyed. It also gives him the power that anything he touches can crumble. We call that comminution in medicine, when things crumble into Rice Krispies if something is broken into multiple pieces. So he has the ability to comminute anything that he touches. He can destroy objects, he can destroy your bone, he can destroy tissue, but he can also comminute himself. So one of his powers is that he can fragment it to multiple pieces and then reaccumulate in a different place, almost allowing him to teleport his body from one place to the next. So he's a very formidable opponent, and he's extremely intelligent because he's a neurosurgeon. I really love doing this because for me, my life is about service. You know, as a surgeon, like I said earlier, I can take care of as many people as I can see as a surgeon, but you're limited in your ability to reach multiple people, especially have a global reach. And as an adult surgeon, I don't have the ability to help kids as much. So this gives me the opportunity to reach out to kids. And like I said, my goal with this is to really get kids excited about STEM topics, to be excited to be a scientist or a mathematician or an engineer. The storyline is really about biomechanical engineering, science, technology. It's all kind of melded into the storyline. And so my hope is that we will invigorate children to be interested in learning, maybe become a healthcare professional, but anything related to STEM topics is good. Well, I'm hoping that people that see this, whether they're educators or they're healthcare professionals or their parents, if you're excited about something like this, if you want your kids to learn more about science, to be excited to learn, reach out to us. We have the ability to come and do presentations. I'm happy to teach. We do this pro bono. We're out here to make a difference in the world, and we don't expect anything in return except hopefully a kid or a parent who is excited about what we're doing.
To learn more, visit OsteoCorps.com.